Welcome to today's episode of the Group X podcast. I'm your host, Tony Zanato. Today, I'll be talking to Emma Biddle, trainer and presenter for Les Mills Core and presenter for Body Balance. Let's support each other. Lean into what you can dial up. Think of something you're doing well, and then think of something you can improve on. Then work on how that can help another instructor. It's time to grab your favourite beverage, so sit back and enjoy this episode. Emma, welcome to the Group X podcast. It is so good to see you.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to see you too.
Awesome. Hey, let's kick it off right from the beginning then. I and my listeners are interested to know how you got into the fitness industry. Where did it all start for you?
Oh, it's a long story. I'll give you the short version. Basically, you may not know me personally, but I'm all of 5 foot tall, so I'm quite a small person. So for me, I wanted to get into a little bit of boxing for self-defense and just to get into a bit of fitness.
Cool.
I was never particularly a sporty kid. So going into university, I thought, yeah, I wouldn't mind getting into a little bit of self-defense. So I started getting into boxing and I just absolutely loved it. I loved the feeling of being fit, of being in that environment as well, being supported by the coaches and the other boxers as well. So I kind of started there, started coaching some of the other boxers as well. And then inadvertently, I started going to another gym just to do some weight training and mix up the training a little bit.
Yeah.
And the manager there said to me, hey, look, you're pretty fit. You look like you know what you're doing. You'd make a great personal trainer. And I thought, yeah, why not? Okay. So I, took a little bit of a break from uni. I was studying teaching at the time.
Yeah. And
decided to do my Cert 3 and 4. And 15 years later, I never went back to uni.
Love that. Yeah, I found something that grabbed my attention a little bit more than being a teacher. I like that. You still are a teacher in some aspect when you look at it. That's brilliant. Talk to me about boxing for a second. Was this boxing for fitness, or was this like in the ring, full on punching someone's face and getting into it?
It started out as fitness, and then I started getting quite serious into it. So I was starting to train up for my first fight. So I did start to get in and do some sparring with the other boxers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was quite cool. And at some point in that training, I actually had quite a bad car accident that someone hit my car and I badly damaged my neck. So I had to stop. Basically. Yeah. So I never quite got to that first fight, but that was the intention with boxing. Yeah.
Boxing is a complete different level of fitness than I've never experienced before. I was a PT back in North Sydney, early 2003 and through to 2012, and boxing for fitness was always one thing that I did with my clients, but I would also get into the ring so often and have a bit of a sparring session and have some fun, and it used to shred me. It was one of those workouts that wasn't strength, wasn't cardio, was strength and cardio combined. And I do remember though that the first time I ever tried to punch something, because I apart from my brother growing up, you obviously siblings, you're going to have a bit of a fight, that kind of thing. But the first time that I was in the ring and actually had to punch someone, I couldn't connect because I didn't want to hurt the other person. And I know that sounds really stupid to say. The story in my head is like, what are you talking about? You absolute idiot. But it's true. I struggled the first time until I actually connected one or two. And then I was like, okay, they're okay. It's all right. This isn't about me trying to, harm them in any way. It's just boxing. It's just that different thing. So, mate, I hats off to you for getting in there and giving that a go and finding that as your first insight really into the gym and into fitness. That's huge. Well done. I like it.
Thanks.
So how did it progress from there? Where did it go? So you've gone into another gym to do PT and that kind of thing. How did it evolve into group exercise?
It was actually, so again, it was the owner of the gym. Brad from Zone Health and Fitness, he
Top
came
bloke.
to me one day. Yeah,
Top
yeah,
bloke.
absolutely. He's helped a lot of us on our journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
I owe my fitness career basically to him, so
Yep.
a lot of respect for Brad. So he came to me one day and he said, there's this really cool new group fitness class coming out. It's called CX Works, or CX30 it was at the time,
Yep.
sorry.
Yep.
It had just been released in Australia. The first module was about to come out in Adelaide. He said, I think you'd be really good at it. It's personal training focused, or it's, inspired by personal training. And at that time I was doing 0 group fitness classes. Like, I was a PT, like, there was a little bit of a divide between group fitness and PTs at the time.
Yep.
So I thought, oh, look, I'll give it a try. So they signed me up to the module, and that was with Emma Vandenberg.
Yep. Yep.
So went to the module. First time ever putting a microphone on. I remember being in the toilet vomiting before my first presentation.
Yeah.
Somehow managed to get up there and get it out.
Yep.
And then I just never looked back. I just loved it. I became addicted to it.
Love it. So what release was that on for CX?
Number 3.
Number 3. That was the one that Rach and I trained on as well. I believe it was back 3 or... Oh, now my brain's going. Yeah, I'm sure it was 3. 2 or 3. So what year was that for you? When did you do that?
Ooh, that would have been a good 12 years ago,
Yeah.
I reckon.
Yeah.
12 years ago?
Yeah, 2010,
Yeah.
2011, something around that, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was either 2 or 3 that Rach and I trained on as well. That was a challenge. It was so different because it was so new as well. So I completely understand where you're coming from with that. So that was your first real insight into group exercise then. How was the module training for you? Because I'm assuming you'd never really done anything like that style of training, as in having pre-choreography and learning all that kind of stuff. How did you go in the module? How was that experience for you?
Absolutely overwhelming. I went in not really prepared. I had the release. I knew the release back to front. The choreo notes were just a mystery to me. Luckily, Emma Vandenberg, being who she is, was just the most amazing facilitator and just made everything just came together in those 2 days. But I remember leaving the first day and just being completely overwhelmed, inspired, just itching to get back for the next day.
Yep. I hear you on that. That's if I refer back to that training. Now I had a fitness level, but I didn't have a core fitness level. So back then it was pass or shadow type stuff. Now I believe I passed to shadow, and I didn't end up teaching it because it was just that I trained in it for myself. I was doing it for myself, but didn't get back into teaching. It was one of those programs for me that just didn't. Yeah, I'm a guy on a bike. Let's be realistic. I sit there and pedal. When it's a couple of limbs moving, yeah, great. But when I've got to add in the upper arms, as we were just talking about previously as well, off air, it just doesn't seem to work. So, yeah, cool. So what was your next program after CX? What other programs are you trained in?
Next up was Grit. So that was next on the menu. One of our...
You didn't choose the easy ones, did you?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. No. So that was next on the menu for me, and I did the first training for that here in Adelaide. So I was among the first 100 to be trained in Grit.
Excellent.
That then balance then followed Grit, which was
technical again. You haven't gone near any of the easy programs, but I understand knowing the background that you've got in PT. I can understand why the programs you've done because it sits well for a PT's mental aspect and understanding pattern movements and body movement and all that kind of stuff and muscle movement. So, yeah. Wow. So I interrupted you then. So CX Grit.
Oh, that's okay.
CX Grit and then balance.
and then pump was the last.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
Now, do you have a favourite? I know we're not meant to have a favourite. You know, it's like asking who's got a favourite. Yeah. Well, who's your favourite child? You know? But have you got a favourite program?
It's hands down. It's core.
Yep.
Core is my baby. It's the program that ignited the passion for me.
Yeah.
And it's something that I feel so comfortable teaching. I sit so naturally in that essence.
Yep.
I just feel so myself when I'm teaching core.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's my baby.
So how many classes are you teaching a week, and what's your spread of classes like at the moment?
So generally I teach 5 in between my everyday job and 2 kids. So I have 2 balances, 2 cores and 1 grit. So that tends to give me a pretty decent spread through the week.
Yep.
Generally, by the time I get to the Friday body balance, I'm really needing it.
Yep.
Just to stretch out and zen out a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
So generally 5.
Cool. And you're on the team. You're on the trainer and presenter team at the moment.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm on the team for core and just recently balance.
Brilliant. As presenter or trainer or both, or what does that look like for you at the moment?
I'm presenter trainer for core and
Yep.
presenter for balance.
Brilliant. Cool. So the role of trainer compared to the role of presenter. Now, I haven't asked this question for a little bit. Now, I know the difference, obviously, and I'm pretty sure most of my listeners do. Which do you prefer? Do you prefer being a trainer of the program, or do you prefer being presenter of the program, or is it a 50-50?
Honestly, the presenting side of things is the cherry on top.
Yep.
The thing that really motivated me to keep working towards getting on the team was being a trainer. I feel like I've got a lot of knowledge to offer people, a lot of passion to offer, and just being with my background of personal training and my own experiences, that becoming a trainer is the pinnacle
Yep.
of what I wanted to achieve.
Yeah. I was without you saying that, I was sitting here thinking to myself, Tony, probably a stupid question to ask, because Emmy's just told you that she's a PT, so she's a trainer. She's a trainer through and through. She's not the type of person that is going to be, Tony, no, I'm not into training people. I just want to be a presenter. I want to be up there on stage in the lights going, yeah.
Oh, look, that's great too.
I was going to say that is
Yeah.
always fun, and that's the, as you said, that's the cherry on the cake. That's the icing that is just the, you know what? Yeah, we're having fun. We're all together doing this, and it's great to be able to get up in front of people and present. But I like the fact that your training background is shines through with that as well. You know, I think and I've said this before on the show here, the people that were, I should say, because they're no longer on the team now, on the trainer and presenter team, there was a group of people that were just presenters that really weren't interested in the training side of things, and it was more, you know, what I call the Pavarottis. Yeah, and I'm sure I'll lose some listeners from saying this. People will go, yeah, mate, you've said it again. That's it. I'm off here. I'm not listening in anymore. But yeah, when I say Pavarotti, the people that are the me's. Yeah, the people that just want the limelight, just want the love, just need all that kind of stuff. This industry doesn't hang on to them. They don't last. Yeah, they'll shine for a little bit, but then it's like that, you know, Mozzie to the blue light thing that goes, zzz, you know. they zap themselves out too easily. But it's nice to meet you guys that are trainers and presenters that actually love what you do, you know, and have that real strong, solid training background, and yeah, that's what you stand for, which is really, really cool.
This is the Group X podcast.
So tell me a little bit more about what you do in your day job and how that works in with your trainer and presenter role.
I recently, over the last year, landed a role as the regional personal training manager for Zap Fitness. So that to me, very much similar to being the trainer presenter for core, that I'm able to share my experience, my knowledge, my passion for personal training with up and coming personal trainers in the business. So that's been another pinnacle for me to get to this point where I'm able to share everything that I've learned over my years in the industry, and then to give that to other trainers so that they're not making, as many mistakes as what I did,
Yep.
and starting out a little bit easier perhaps than what my start was.
You I keep coming back to this trainer role that you're in. You're in a trainer role for Les Mills. You're also in a personal training manager role where you are as well. You said in the beginning that you were heading to uni to be a teacher. I think part of that has never left. I think it is that underlying thing that's there that even though you didn't pursue it, you have pursued it in a little bit of a sideward step, taking on an industry that you love, but having that skill set that was probably already there, that was still that underlying passion that you've had.
Yeah. And I think that, it became very clear to me probably in my second year in uni that perhaps I was in the wrong space.
Yep.
Like I was passionate about teaching, but I didn't feel that I was quite being authentic to myself and what I could offer.
Yeah.
That and a lot of the kids were almost taller than me, so I had to get out of there.
Look, I'm not going to laugh the fact that I'm 6'6" and you just said you were 5 foot something.
5'0".
Yep, five exactly. It's okay. Yep. Love that. Talk to me about the first training module that you ever took by yourself. How was that experience for you? Were you packing it, or was it cruisy as and you were like, nah, I got this. I'm good to roll.
Absolutely packing it. I had a small group and they were great. They all came in really prepared. I hadn't long come back from having my second child, I didn't bounce back as quickly as I did from my first. So, I had lacked a little bit of confidence coming back into the group fitness space because of, my body image.
Yep.
Not that anyone else was commenting on that, but that was just my own personal, own personal thing. Absolutely packing it. But again, your wife, Rach, was coaching me at the time on the core squad.
Top chick, that one.
Yeah, she's all right. She goes all right.
She goes all right. She's probably listening.
That's right. Yeah. Put in a good word for you. Brownie points.
Thanks. Yeah.
So I do remember being very nervous, very, very nervous. All of a sudden I was on the other side of things and people were looking to me for all of the advice and to pass them and to get them through their last stage of the day 3. So something that I've been taught along the way is turn nervous to service. So that's very much my motto going into modules or any situation where I'm feeling really quite nervous about. And I just gave them everything that I had.
I like that. Can you say that again?
Nervous to service.
Nervous to service. I really like that. That really makes a lot of sense when you break that. Yeah. Yeah, cool. That gels with me. I was just taking a moment then to let that one sink in. But yeah. That's cool. So
is my biggest advice for a lot of GFIs and PTs too.
Yeah.
Turn those nerves into service.
Yeah. It's true though. I'm going to go back on that for a second because it's with everything, not just you can use that saying in every part of life. I get nerves when I'm doing these things, and so you just put it in, and I give everything I possibly can because, as I was chatting to Wendy Elphinstone yesterday, and she said, Tone, she listens to every single one of these episodes because she said, I'm educating myself. She said, somehow we need to try and get these done CEC. So every time someone listens to one, they get a CEC because there's so much good quality stuff that comes out of each episode. And I think that's why that resonates with me. And what you just said then is, before I do every one of these, I'm nervous as a hell. Yeah. Might not come across it. I might on the inside though. I'm like that little duck that's on water. That's just legs are going nuts underneath. Going right. Yeah. Got to make sure this is going. This is where it's got to go. But I really like that one. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Trademark.
Yeah. We'll put a trademark on that. We'll share that one in the show link. So what's in store for you then? What's the plan with the training side of things? What are you looking to do over the next, say, 12 months or so?
Honestly, my journey was never really straightforward. I've had to work really hard to be where I am. This is not something that comes naturally. I'm not naturally athletic or naturally good standing up on stage. So that's taken me a lot to now get onto the presenter team and to really kind of step into that role. It probably hasn't been until last quarter that I really kind of went, okay, I'm here for a reason. This is what I want to do. Now I'm going to give everything I can to the instructors in front of me. So for me, the next 12 months is just continuing on that journey and making sure that when I'm coming into the workshops, into the day threes, everything that I have, I'm offering people the best that I can.
Yep.
And kind of leaving those limiting beliefs behind. Really, for me, this is kind of my pinnacle. I wanted to get onto the team and become a trainer so that I could share my knowledge. So anything else now is just an absolute bonus.
On top of, What part of the training is it that, I suppose, you've said you love being able to educate others and that kind of stuff. Is that, what am I trying to ask you? What I'm trying to get at is your why. Why do you do what you do?
Oh,
and I know that's a confronting question, isn't it?
Yes, it is. My why has always been the same. It relates back to many, many years ago. In my teenage years, I had quite a severe eating disorder. So I was diagnosed with bulimia nervosa. So not to the point where I was purging, but if I would eat anything that I conceived as bad or anything too much, I would exercise beyond reason. So I'm talking, 6 to 8 hours a day of just absolutely high-end training. So for me, I was lucky enough to recognise that and to get the help that I needed. Boxing was a big part of that, gave me the confidence to get through that. And I guess the draw for me into group fitness and the reason why I still do it is because it made exercise fun.
Yep.
All of the exercise I did was a punishment, a way of punishing myself for eating or, for not exercising enough the day before.
Yeah.
So when I finally did step into that group fitness space and realised that exercise could be so much fun and not just about punishing myself, that was just absolutely a light bulb moment for me. And it's still my why today. And every single class that I go into, that is my reason for being there, because I want to make it fun and enjoyable. And, rather than thinking about the results, the feeling of joy of being in that room and being part of something bigger.
Thank you for sharing that. I can see that it's an emotional response as well, but thank you so much, because I know that can be quite confronting, but also confronting to share, especially in an environment like this where there's people who are going to be listening, that kind of stuff. But it sounds to me that you have made peace with it, and that it's helped you get through and made you who you are today as well, which I think is massively huge and massively important as well. For anyone that is out there that's listening, that is going through something similar, I say to people, reach out. I was PT back in North Sydney, and I had a PT client that had something quite similar go on, and I made an appointment, and I went with her. We went and saw someone, and she still reaches out every now and then and just says thank you, Tone, because it was that I saw something that I was like, it's not quite right, you know what? And my role as a personal trainer back then was to help her, to turn around and go, hey, you know what? Let's just go and have a chat to someone. Let's do this. It started because I asked her to keep a food diary, And that was when because I noticed something wasn't quite right. Something wasn't sort of sitting. And it can be quite challenging as well to deal with as an individual going through it. And I think you've done well to break it is not the right word to use, but to get through it and come out the other side, but also to understand the power that group exercise played in that for you. And as you said, you can see the positiveness from the enjoyment you get out of group exercise. It's not a punishment, as you said. It's not right, well, I've eaten 4 strawberries today, I need to go and exercise and train for an extra 3 hours. No, you know what? Exercise is fun. Yeah, eat, enjoy, but also train, enjoy, and get through that as you go.
Yeah, 100%.
This is the Group X podcast.
Cool. As I said, thank you for sharing. It's really cool. Really cool. How was the first time you ever presented at a quarterly workshop? How was that?
That was, again, nerve-wracking. It was kind of one of those moments that I'll always remember, because I was presenting alongside Emma Vandenberg that took me through my first module. So here I was alongside my idol.
Yep.
And the person that brought me up into this industry, like I was her little core baby.
Yeah.
To then be standing next to her and presenting with her was it was like an out-of-body experience. Before I knew it, it was over, and I just wanted to do it again and again.
Was that
once I got past the nerves.
Was that in Adelaide?
Yes.
It was, yeah. So it was in your hometown in front of instructors that you would have known as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing that, because I know that as instructors, we support each other, don't we, crowd? Yes, they all said yes. I know we all support each other. No, look, I say that because there was a chat I've had just recently around instructors that haven't been supporting each other. And it's a bugbear of mine, and I know it's a bugbear of quite a lot of people as well, that, you know, we're all in this together. We need to support each other. And I think that as an instructor who gets an opportunity to become a trainer and presenter and jump on the team and do that, there are some other instructors that get their nose out of joint because, I should have been doing that and that kind of stuff. But it's like, hang on a second, put that, I call it the emotional baggage or emotional bullshit, aside, and just be supportive of your friend and that other peer that you've got that has actually been given an opportunity to get up there and be a trainer or presenter. Or not only that, if you find as an instructor, if you guys find that there is another instructor that is struggling, don't put them down. Help them out. Yeah. If their classes aren't as popular as they should be, reach out and try and give them some support. You know, I think that's as trainer and presenters, we have the skill set to be able to give our participants in that training environment the best skills we possibly can. But I think at the same time, it goes beyond that initial training module. Yeah. It also goes for any of instructors that are out there that have been doing it for a long time. Help others. Don't put them down. Don't turn around and poo-poo classes and say, don't go to her class or don't go to his class because it's crap. Hell no. You know, guys, talk about the other classes on the timetable that are suffering, that don't have enough participants, and talk about them. Get them known. Do whatever you possibly can. If you're there as a team and you're there on that timetable to work with each other, work with each other. You know, I think that's vital, and I think that's something that can really be strong with that. But no, look, I'm grateful that experience for you was good, even though it was nerve-wracking as well. But that you got an opportunity to do it in front of your home crowd as well.
Yeah, that was great. And, you know, people that have been with me since the beginning, they were there, they were cheering me on.
Yep.
And I'm forever grateful. They still, you know, even to the last quarter, they're still there, they're still supporting me. And I think that that's also a very important part of coming onto the team too, is remembering where you've come from and the people that were there supporting you as well. Yeah.
As you said before, you know, you looked up to Emma. I'm 100% certain that you've had people, without probably even knowing it, that are instructors today that have done your training that look up to you. Yeah. It's almost like passing on the baton and going, hey, yep, cool, without actually passing it on. You've stepped up into that role, now people are looking at you, and then the next group that come through, the same thing will happen again. Yep. Everyone that gets the opportunity to be a trainer and presenter in that way is able to help so many people, not just the instructors that are actually in their courses and doing it, but take that back into club. How many people are we helping in clubland? Yeah. It's funny, you know, Mike McSweeney passed away just recently, and I was having a conversation with someone in relation to that I wouldn't be here doing this now if Mike hadn't done what he did all those years ago by starting those programs. Yeah, you and I wouldn't be chatting because Les Mills wouldn't have done what it has done to our lives, and we wouldn't have had this opportunity to sit down and have a conversation. I think it goes well beyond you and I. It goes on to the people who's in our classes, or I haven't taught now for 5 years, but people that were in classes back then and in your classes now that we impact. It's huge when you think the pulling power that group exercise does have, and the amount of people that it can actually touch is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is the Group X podcast.
Back when I was a PT back in North Sydney those many moons ago, there was, and I think as you alluded to earlier on, there was a divide between personal trainers and group exercise. Yeah. And what I'm going to ask you now is, do you feel that is still here today? Is that still a divide between PTs and Group X, or is that sort of that bridge closed and the gap has gotten smaller?
I think that largely depends on where you are. So where I had based my PT business out of at Zone, that divide is a lot smaller than what I see at other clubs. For example, myself, I didn't really step into that group fitness space for probably 2 or 3 years of my PT career. And then once I did step into it, I saw the value in programming that in for my clients. So, seeing them for training on a Monday, perhaps scheduling in classes that they should try, or, rather than sticking them on a treadmill for cardio, I would get them into a class. So for me, I saw the value in that. And the more that I was engaging people in the gym, whether that was with classes or with me, or them getting to know the community and the people of the gym, that was more reason for them to stay. And a lot of those clients are still doing group fitness classes and were long-term clients for me because they had more reason to stay. They enjoyed exercise. I feel like there's still quite a lot of gyms out there that there is still that divide.
Yep.
And I think it's just the not knowing the value of having those group fitness classes as part of your client's training regime is what the divide is.
Yeah. It was interesting back when I was PT in North Sydney that the PTs were scared to recommend people to go to Group X classes because they thought they were going to lose them as clients. Didn't see it as an added value for what their training was. And a lot of the PTs were like, no, we're going in there. And I started as a PT before I went into group exercise stuff. But it was sort of very tightly, next to each other as going along. But I found that the easiest way for me to get PT clients was from my classes. They'd see me then out on the floor training someone as well. Then after class come up and go, oh, you do PT? Why, yes, I do. Yes, would you? Are you interested? Sure, I can. Yeah, we've got some spots here, and it worked. It worked in my favour, and I've never understood why PTs were afraid of recommending group exercise or PTs even becoming a Group X instructor. Okay, you're not able to do as many PT clients and probably not make as much money from teaching one class as you were one PT client, but at the same time, it's your marketing, your advertising for you. If you're in a class and you've got a pump bar on your back and you're doing squats and there's 20, 30, 40, 50 people, however many people in front of you, and they come up afterwards because, there's a little niggle sort of going on and you're going to, hey, we can fix that with some PT training. I think it's worth it. Getting paid only $45, $50, whatever it may be, for that one class in order to pick up 2 or 3 clients that you can potentially be charging $80 to $100 for. Hey, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So it was very, very interesting for me. But I appreciate you answering that one as well, because I think it's as you said, there's still a bridge that needs to be crossed, and I still think that divide that needs to be brought closer. But I do think that it is slowly, especially after COVID, I think it's slowly getting better than what it was beforehand as well. So, on that, how are you're in South Australia? How is attendance in group exercise now post COVID? COVID lockdown has been gone. I mean, I don't think you guys copped it as bad down there as some other states. But how is group X attendance now for you guys in South Australia?
Yeah, we were quite fortunate. So we weren't hit too hard with the lockdowns and in terms of the case numbers here. Group fitness attendance is pretty much up to where it was before COVID, if not stronger.
Brilliant.
People are coming back, and there was such a long period of time where we didn't have that togetherness and that connection with each other as much as Zoom workouts or any the online training platforms like Les Mills on Demand was great in that scenario. People just really missed that connection. So for us, it's pretty much gone back to normal.
Brilliant. Good to hear. Are any clubs, do you know of any clubs that are actually doing what we're referring to as hybrid at the moment, or online classes as well as live classes, or any classes that are simulclass, as in, streaming their live class online? Are any clubs down there that you know of doing that at the moment?
Not that I know of. I know that one of the clubs that I'm instructing out of, they do have the Les Mills virtual, and they had that before COVID as well. But none that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Doing the hybrids.
No, I know there's some clubs in Sydney that have started to pick it up now. I think it's more to add an additional layer to their current membership, so that as I'll use myself as an example, if I was unable to get to a 5:30 Monday night class for whatever reason, let's just say Leah was unwell, they're able to, or what they're doing is streaming that live class. So the class that I'd normally go into, there's camera up in the corner of the room or in front of them, however, and it's actually, I log into a private portal for that club, and I'm able to still be part of that class. Even though I love getting to your class, Emma's class, on that Monday night at 5:30, but because Leah's sick, I can't. But I can put Leah in front of the TV, poor little thing, and she can, sit there for 45 minutes while Dad just pops in the other room and does a workout with Emma, so I don't miss out on my workout. So I think there's clubs that are looking to do that and not charge additional for it, because I don't think it needs to be charged additional either. I think it is something that clubs can offer members, so that when I wouldn't say when, but God, if COVID or something drastic like that ever happens again, they've got something in place. If people still aren't feeling 100% safe to come back in, and let's be realistic, I think the older aging demographic are still not there yet. There's still a lot of them that are still like you shopping these days, you still walk into supermarkets and I'm still seeing, people wearing masks, even though the mask mandate isn't around. People are still taking care of themselves with that. So it's nice to see that that's happening. I wonder if it's actually going to start spreading, throughout the industry, and we start seeing it in other clubs as well.
Yeah, that'd be good. I wouldn't be surprised if that would be the direction it goes in. I know that a lot of clubs did do that through COVID.
Yep.
Where they offered the live streamed classes. I'm a little bit surprised that it didn't stick around, but I'm guessing that a lot of clubs wanted people to come back in as much as they could get them in.
And no disrespect to any club that did it, because I know there were a lot of clubs that did do it. A lot of it was garbage. There's a statement. A lot of it was done in Zoom, and Mum's curtains are in the background, and the Velveteen Lounge was over there as well, and it was not done well. Let's be realistic. It was done. We had an offering to pass out to our members, but it wasn't an experience. It was quite dreadful and quite woeful. And I think that's why people have come back into gyms as soon as they're able to and felt comfortable. But I think broadcasting what you're doing in a gym. Yeah, let's take an example. Let's just say you did pump on a Monday night at 5:30. Yeah, and there's a camera that was up there in front of you. That you just press the button over there that's on near the stereo, and that automatically starts to stream, so that those 5 or 6 members that are stuck, traffic, whatever, someone's sick, they couldn't get in for whatever reason, are still able to participate and do something. You're still able to captivate an audience. They've still got to pay a membership because it's not free. It's not being streamed to the world to go, jump onto Facebook, here it is. They've still got to log in through a portal in order to access it and do whatever they do. But I really think that's should be the next thing that we look at as an industry as well, to make sure that group exercise still caters to everybody,
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree.
Hey, is there anything, any tip that you can give any instructor that's listening that wants to improve? What would it be? If there's Tony sitting over there in the corner and going, oh, I really want to do this, but I don't know how. What sort of advice would you give someone? What are your tips?
Probably the biggest thing is to get comfortable with filming yourself. That's probably when I've mentored people coming into a program, that's always the feedback that I get, is that I hate listening to myself. I hate filming. You got to get comfortable with it. I film almost weekly now. And quite often I'll plug my phone in while I'm driving and I'll just listen to what I'm saying.
Yep.
So that then instead of me looking at my technique and going, that squat looks like dog shit today or whatever,
yep,
I'm listening to what I'm saying and if there's anything coming out that doesn't need to be there, because we know that with Les Mills Core there's this much time to say this much.
Yes.
So you've got to be really, you've got to
be spot on. Yeah.
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 So that would definitely be my number one tip, is to film, listen to yourself, but also with that filming, don't go straight to the negative.
Yep.
When you're watching your filming and you're listening to yourself, pick something that you are strong in doing, recognize that, but then also lean into what you can dial up.
I like
Too
that.
often we are so critical of ourselves. Yeah. We are our own worst critics.
Yes.
So it's always the first thing, and I had a day 3 just recently, and when we came to the group feedback, the first thing I said to them all was, what's something you did well? And most of them sat there and they really had to think.
Yep.
And then when I said to them, what's something that you can improve on? And they went, da-da-da-da-da-da, all of these things down the list that they picked up, and, they were thinking that they're not good at this. And so that's always my tip. Think of something that you're doing well and then something that you need to dial up.
It's very confronting to watch yourself.
Yes.
I hated it. I used to hate it. I'll be honest, and I said this the other day. I can't remember who I was talking to, but the first episode that I ever did for this didn't get to air. I couldn't handle hearing my own voice. I hated it. Absolutely hated it. I was like, oh my God, you sound like that? Oh, holy crap. Oh no, that's not going anywhere. And it took a while for me to go back and listen. But then when I started obviously going through and editing them and that kind of stuff, and you listen to your voice more often, it just becomes that, oh yeah, okay, yeah. And I just revert back to that, because I know also what it was like when I would every so often film my RPM or pump or whatever class I was teaching. I used to hate watching it. Absolutely hate it, because you do, as you said, you pick out all the bad things. You don't give yourself any credit, do you? Why would you give yourself credit? I'm here to criticize myself. I'm here to work on stuff. Oh, that's the worst, that's the worst, that's the worst. But as you said, you've also got to look at the good stuff you're doing to remind yourself that, you know what, you're doing an okay job. Yeah, you're in front of 30 or 40 people, or however many might be in your class. They come week after week because you're doing something good. Yeah, there's always things that we can improve on, and always things that we can probably, make a little bit better. But, celebrate the wins as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's just, it's something that, that took me a long time to start to do that myself. So now that's something that I really encourage when I'm mentoring. It's my number one thing. What's one positive? Give me that first.
This is the Group X podcast.
Now, is there anything in the industry that you feel needs to change? And I know that's a loaded question to ask, and I ask it to everybody as well, because I believe there's a hell of a lot we can be doing better. But I like asking the question to find out from others. What is there? Is there anything that you feel should change or needs to change within our industry?
I think it's still, for me, it's still coming back to that divide. And it's not just between PTs and classes. It's quite often I see in clubs, even the freestyle classes, that I've heard the instructor for those classes discouraging their members going to a Les Mills class because, it's a cult. It's not for everybody. It's too high impact. it's this, it's that. So that's still very much what I'd like to see change in the industry, is that divide. It's, I don't like to think of it as a cult. It's something that it changes lives, and it sounds really corny to say that, but
not at all.
It's like stepping into an alternate universe. Like you come into this other world experience, and you've just got no choice but to be there and to be present. And I just love that. And if that's what a cult is, then I'm part of a cult.
Yeah. But no, look, I been in the industry for a while and completely agree with you that there's negativity. Yeah, there's negativity from some instructors to other instructors, or some programs to other programs, and I think that needs to start to change from us as instructors in the industry. You know, as I sort of alluded to before, don't poo-poo another instructor, don't poo-poo another program. You know, support each other. Yeah, as a Les Mills instructor, you know, hey guys, have you done tummies, butts and thighs or whatever on a Tuesday or whatever it may be? Give it a shot. You know, it's not where we wear the Les Mills hat, we're disciples out there going, yes, Les Mills, but it's group exercise. You know, there's a variety of programs that are on timetables for a reason, because our members expect a variety as well. You know, the Les Mills programs have been designed in a way that makes it easy for us instructors to deliver, you know, and members do appreciate it. But if you've also got freestyle programs on a timetable that are taught in a great way, those freestyle programs can still be successful, still be really successful. It all comes down to the person that's actually teaching the class. Yep. But not only the person that's teaching the class, the other instructors around to help support what's going on in that club. I think you're right when you sort of said it. That we'll call it a stigma, maybe. The stigma needs to change, you know, and there's a different, you know, the same program in one club can be really crap in another. Let me ask you the question: why do you think that would be?
It can be any number of things. I mean, mainly comes down to the instructor and how they're delivering it.
Yep.
Yeah.
The instructor, the culture in the club, I think they're some big factors that are playing an impact on that. You know, it can be, as I said, it's the instructor, the program, the time, the day, the whatever it may be. All of those things can be impact on why a program would work or why a program wouldn't work. But the bigger thing is that I believe is that the support from one instructor to another. Yeah, a brand new instructor is not going to be able to come onto a timetable and be a gun. A brand new instructor is not going to come on and be an Emma tomorrow. Yeah, the Emma that you are today, the instructor you are today, wasn't here when you first came out of your initial module training. You know, you've learnt over time. We all do. Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of instructors, and I'll say probably a lot of Group X managers as well, are expecting far too much. When I say that, I mean they've sent someone off to module training. They've done their initial module training. They've come out of that initial module training, and the Group X manager goes, right, your class, you're on the timetable, go. Oh, why are you only getting 4 people to a class?
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, there's a multitude of reasons there. What are you doing as a Group X manager in order to help your staff member you've just put on be successful? You know, are you helping them market? Are you helping them advertise? Are you helping them? What are you doing in order to make sure that person is the right fit for your club? But also, what are you doing as other instructors to support that newbie that's just come on board, your team, to be successful for your club? You know, and I think that's where a change needs to start. But I think it needs to start, as I said, from us as individual instructors to hold each other up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach out. If you're an instructor that's getting 4 or 5 people to a class, reach out to another instructor that's getting more. Have a chat to them. Mm. And if you're that instructor that instructor's reached out to, sit down and have a chat to them. Yeah. If you've got 20 years experience, fantastic. Share some of your insight with them. You know, let's work together as an industry to make things better, because if we don't, what's going to end up happening? Yeah, like we've seen time and time before, group exercise suffers in a club. The club ends up getting rid of it. The club ends up shutting down We don't want that. We want clubs to be open. We want clubs to be successful, and clubs to understand the pulling power that group exercise really has when it's done properly. How part of that being done properly, as we've just been saying, is that everyone works together as a team, tick those boxes, and let's go in this direction together. Yeah. No, cool. Emma, I've enjoyed chatting to you, and I know it's only been a shorter one compared to some of the other ones I do, but we got straight to the point, which is what I'm enjoying. Yeah, it hasn't been a whole lot of waffle. It's actually been a really good to the point chat. So I just want to say from me to you, thank you for coming on the show and having a chat to me. I've greatly appreciated getting to know you and your story, and your tips you've been able to share with us.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.